Richard Goodall's journey is one of the most unexpected and quietly powerful stories to come out of America's Got Talent, not because of overnight fame, but because of what he chose to do after the applause faded. For more than 20 years, Richard worked as a janitor at West Vigo Middle School in Indiana, singing softly through hallways most people rushed past, never trained professionally, never chasing a stage, using music as a personal refuge rather than a career. Students and staff knew his voice long before the world did, describing it as emotional, honest, and unpolished in the best way, a voice shaped by real life rather than ambition. Outside of work, he sang with a small gospel group until the pandemic shut everything down, severing his last consistent connection to performing. An early audition for The Voice ended quietly, and many would have stopped there, but Richard kept singing for himself, through loss, routine, and long hours. His personal life changed dramatically in 2021 when his wife Patricia Sue Goodall passed away from kidney cancer, leaving him grieving and alone just as the world was reopening. Music became his only anchor during that period, and it was also when he met Angie Venovan, the woman who would later become his wife, not by pushing him toward fame, but by helping him see worth in his own voice and story. With her encouragement, Richard also took a step he never imagined, using a genealogy search to find his biological father, a former K-9 police officer and military veteran who had never known Richard existed. Their reunion revealed siblings he had never met and gave him a sense of closure and belonging that arrived just as his life was about to change again. In late 2022, a grainy video of Richard singing Don't Stop Believin' during a school rehearsal quietly surfaced on TikTok, and this time, people stopped scrolling. The clip exploded across platforms, reaching millions and eventually landing on the desks of America's Got Talent producers. For the first time in his life, Richard boarded a plane, flew to Los Angeles, and stepped onto a national stage where he sang the same song he'd been singing in hallways for years. The judges, including Simon Cowell, were visibly moved, and the golden buzzer sent him straight to the live shows. What followed wasn't a flashy reinvention but a steady unfolding of who he already was. He sang classic ballads rooted in emotion, dedicated How Am I Supposed to Live Without You to Angie, shocked audiences with a powerful Eye of the Tiger in the semifinals, and closed the finals with Faithfully, joined on stage by Journey themselves. Richard Goodall won season 19 of America's Got Talent, earning $1 million prize and national recognition just 6 days after marrying Angie in Pasadena, two life-defining moments unfolding side by side. Yet after the confetti fell, Richard returned home to Teyote, back to the same school, the same mop, the same quiet pride. He continued working as a janitor, not as a rejection of success, but as a grounding choice, saying there were many things happening quietly behind the scenes. He performed selectively at community events, NBA games, city celebrations, and national shows, received the key to the city, and was celebrated by the very hallways where his voice was born. Health challenges soon followed, including hernia surgery that forced him to slow down and rethink how he wanted to build a future that would last. Instead of rushing fame, Richard chose balance, prioritizing recovery, family, and sustainability. By the end of 2025, he quietly released his debut single, Long Time Coming, recorded in Nashville, a title that perfectly captured a lifetime of patience and perseverance. He continued performing locally with the Sugar Street Band, began working with a management team, and returned to the AGT stage for the show's 20th anniversary, not as a contestant, but as a featured artist, confirming his place in the story he once only watched from afar. Now, after more than 2 decades at West Vigo Middle School, Richard has spoken openly about preparing for retirement from the job that carried him through obscurity, grief, and growth. His story isn't about chasing dreams loudly, but about staying true long enough for the right moment to arrive. If Richard Goodall's journey proves anything, it's that sometimes the longest road leads exactly where you're meant to be, just not on anyone else's timeline.